Awesome, Juliana, to you. Let's kick this off.
Hello, everybody. I hope everybody's having a nice day. We are hosting a virtual cannabis job fair, and we have some awesome people in the industry. But to start out, I can tell you a little bit about me. So I work at a company called EasyHire Cannabis. I work as the manager of, but basically I'm the point of contact between the client and the candidate, and I help clients find those best candidates, and then I help the candidates find their forever home. We have John on here also. He can tell you a little bit about him.
Hey everybody, I'm John Sarantino. I am the Chief Strategist and Partner at EasyHire Cannabis. My role is kind of all-encompassing in the sense that I work both on the recruiting side, helping make sure we're finding the right candidates and connecting them to our partner businesses, as well as coming up with just conceptually some of the ways we can differentiate ourselves from traditional recruiters. At EasyHire Cannabis, our goal is to provide services, frankly, that align a little bit better with the heavily growing industry in terms of matching the right talent and experience and helping those businesses build culture. As Juliana said, really excited to be here. We've got an awesome group. We are just so excited to dig in, learn a little bit more about everybody on the call.
So today we're going to be covering two main topics, focusing on industry-related knowledge and how to position yourself for a career in cannabis. Our guests are industry leaders in the space and have been kind enough to lend their time to help the next generation of cannabis industry workers. We'll be doing a roughly 25-minute Q&A, but first, let's go in and introduce our panel. So to start off, we have Nikita from MCR Labs. You can introduce yourself, Nikita.
Hi, everyone. Thank you for having me. I am Nikita from MCR Labs. I am the HR manager. MCR was established in 2013. We were the first licensed analytical testing lab in Massachusetts. We're based in Framingham. Currently, we have 78 employees, and we're growing exponentially. So keep eyes open for new things coming up on the horizon. Currently, we are hired, I believe, 27 employees this year, and we have not even hired all the employees that we want to by the end of the year. I like to describe our company culture as a close-knit group. We are huge believers in collaboration and innovation, especially between departments. We are a remarkably diverse and inclusive group. When I think about perks at MCR, the first thing that comes to mind are benefits. We are constantly thinking about how we can give more to our employees. As our company grows, we want our benefits too as well. Some of the benefits include health insurance, dental, vision, basic life insurance, 401k, and everyone here loves the discounted membership, which unfortunately we had to close for a little while, but we're going to be starting up as everything is opening up. Another thing is swag. Everyone loves our MCR swag and are constantly asking about for new ones coming up. We are constantly looking for talent, candidates that thrive in a fast-paced and growing company, people who understand that there are going to be growing pains. But the rewards for a company that's growing is remarkable. Overall, hardworking employees that are a team player as well. We are looking for lab technicians, data analysis, positions in our scientific operations department, our marketing department, like a marketing assistant. And it's also not uncommon for us to open up positions 6 months to a year later because of our growth. So definitely look out for all those positions I haven't even mentioned for popping up later on. And currently, the best way to apply is through our Indeed postings.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for introducing yourself, Nikita, and excited to hear a lot more as we go on. So we also have Jessica and Diane from ACS, or otherwise known as Alternative Compassion Services. I will hand the mic over to you guys.
Hi, my name's Diane. I'm the Outreach Coordinator here at ACS, working closely with Jessica here today. I'll give you a little background about ACS. We are Alternative Compassion Services. We're a locally owned and operated C2 sale medical cannabis dispensary in Bridgewater. Our core values of quality, integrity, and safety set us apart from other cannabis options in Massachusetts. Our company culture is medically focused. We're professional and caring as we share a common goal of providing high-quality cannabis products to the community. The responsibility of starting a vertically integrated medical facility back in 2015 was challenging, but nevertheless we persisted, and we continue to push for safe patient access today. In fact, 2 weeks from today, we celebrate our second birthday here in Bridgewater and are looking towards the future of opening a second medical cannabis establishment in Hull, Massachusetts. So excited about that. With over 80 years of smear campaigns, government corruption, and sensationalism demonizing the non-toxic plant, education, company transparency, and compassion for all is essential. With an emphasis on safety through education, we take the time to sit down with patients one-on-one or in group workshops, guiding them to find what feels right for them. We highlight the uniqueness of each person's endocannabinoid system so they may learn how to take personal inventory on how they feel and control their own well-being. We cover forms of cannabis such as administration, titration, dosaging guides to help them find what feels good. While only specific physicians and nurse practitioners who can provide certification, we work closely with them to limit educational fragmentation and to provide details on the safety and how to use our products. One thing that makes ACS truly unique is we cultivate, produce, and dispense 100% of our own products. And quality begins with a source. We carefully select award-winning seeds and strains offering specific benefits to patients, such as high CBD strains and one-to-one varieties. Our extraction agents create full spectrum tinctures and medical options with specific cannabinoid and flavor profiles to meet the needs of the patients. We also provide a home delivery program which greatly supports the community as we go through this pandemic together. So those who are immunocompromised have seen benefit with this program. Management encourages efficiency, innovation, and company connection, as no one department can succeed without the other. Most importantly, our cultivators, production staff, and patient care agents all share a passion for producing high-quality medicine with services that exceed expectation. Our private care agents are knowledgeable, friendly, and many of them are patients themselves, and they can find community connection. It makes it a whole lot easier when you have people who want to be helpful, who are compassionate towards others, who have good intentions, heart, and at the end of the day are doing this for a different reason other than a paycheck. We strongly feel that those 3 words in our mission statement, quality, integrity, and safety, are things that each employee has here at ACS. Our benefits do include full dental, vision, medical, and you can check out our job postings at Indeed.com and submit your resume on our website at acscompassion.com. Now I'll bring it over to HR Director Jessica DOTEN.
I'm Jessica DOTEN. I'm the HR Manager for Alternative Compassion Services here in Bridgewater. I've been with the company for about a year now and just really excited to answer any applicant questions that come my way.
Well, thank you so much, Jessica and Diane. And next we'll pop over to Eve, who is at Pure Oasis.
Yes, thank you all for having us today. We're super excited to participate and, inspire the next wave of folks getting involved in the industry. My name is Eve Marie. I work over at Pure Oasis in the capacity of community outreach. I was just recently helping my team over in the front of the house. A lot of us are very flexible in just building up this startup. Pure Oasis is Boston's first economic empowerment applicant to receive a license in the city. We opened up in March and then we got shut down as a result of the pandemic, so things are ever changing. We just got up and running again. We are recruiting. We are definitely looking to pick people up that are interested to work in the front of the house being bud tending, which is the cannabis sales. We have a safety and security team. Those are the folks that are also having a lot of FaceTime with the customers, welcoming them to our store, letting them know what we have, what's popular. And we have the back of the house that works on inventory, procurement, and packaging. We also have a lot of other roles in management that as the company continues to grow, we're gonna have to fill those roles. So we do encourage people to submit resumes, cover letters, even if there's not a particular role that you see out there that we're promoting, just, an introduction to who you are and how you may wanna get involved. We're always open to that. We have been around for over a year, but like I said, we got our license in March. one of my favorite things about working at Pure Oasis is the flexibility that the people on our team have, and their willingness to slow it down with the customers. You know, it's not just about getting them in and out, even though, you know, in training manuals will be like, hey, this is the average time frame, but we really don't categorize the people that come in, the guests, in numbers. It's really about what's gonna make them leave our shop feeling good. You know, a lot of folks will look at a price, but our customers are looking for like the bud tender that served them the last time, because people are becoming regulars, and just, you know, developing that culture of calling someone out by their first name, even though we're all like with these masks, you know. It's not my favorite thing, but it's like we could recognize the vibes. So that's one of my favorite things in terms of just people being personable, not just with the customers, but even on a team. You know, we just had someone on our team that had a new baby. So something that was really exciting was to see that we had like a community and a team board in the back, just celebrating that. And, you know, if anybody, I have 3 children myself, so being able to be like, yes, I can give this swing, or, you know, whatever extras we have to support our team. You know, that's one of my favorite things, is that tight-knit team effort. And I think for now that's it, but we'll dive into some more goodies as we develop this conversation more.
Yeah, awesome. I love that. I love when your work really becomes a family, and it sounds like it's like that at Pure Oasis. So yeah, that's great. Awesome. So next we will hop over to Scott, who works at AdpativeHR. Scott, take it away.
Terrific. Thanks, Juliana. So Scott Newman from AdpativeHR. We're headquartered locally in Rockland on the South Shore, and we've been around since the end of 2018. And so we're a little bit different from some of these other companies, as we're not a cannabis plant touching business per se, but we really support all of these businesses in Massachusetts and nationally, really to grow and be successful. So what our area of business is I look at it as we help small and growing companies be more profitable and be more successful. And how do we accomplish that is through outsource HR and payroll and benefits and managing risk. And the majority of all the companies in the cannabis space are all growing. You can see all of these ladies telling you today about their hiring. And so a lot of the companies that we talk to, you know, the owners are running in 400 different directions at one time, keeping up with hiring, trying to find the right benefits, the right system, the right platform, and building culture while staying compliant in a highly, highly regulated time. It is very, very challenging and very, very time consuming. So what we do is we try to really empower the business to, you know, to focus on what they do best, being the best retailer or the best cannabis grower or manufacturer. And we have a whole suite and team of people and a great technology platform that can help really complement their efforts. So that's the exciting thing for us. You know, we started off locally just in Massachusetts, but we were acquired, and now we're a wholly owned subsidiary of a company called Resourcing Edge, which is a national HR payroll benefits company out of Dallas, and has clients all over the U.S. So they really wanted to get into the cannabis space. So we have a huge team of people nationally who can help support the effort. So we're really excited to you know, to be supporting the cannabis industry and supporting all the business owners and their teams. And obviously, you know, the thing that we hear the most, you can hear it with all these people on the call, is people in this business are really passionate about what they do. And the culture is amazing. So if you can hook on and find a company like these, you know, to get involved with early on, you know, the sky's the limit, and we're here to help.
Fantastic. So first off, I think it comes through the passion. Scott, you kind of led me right into this one, the passion within the group we have here today. And really the other thing that shines through is ultimately the diversity, both in the participants here and in the businesses we have represented. So I'm really excited to dig into this next Q&A section. We have it broken down into 2 sections. We have industry-related questions, and then we're going to drive into candidate-specific. So I'll hand it off to Juliana. Juliana, you can kind of take it away from here into the industry-related questions.
Awesome. So I guess I'll just ask this question generally. Whoever wants to answer first can. But tell your story of how you got involved and what was your first job within the cannabis industry.
I can go first. So this actually is my first job in the cannabis industry. I came from a large orthopedic practice at a hospital setting before I came here. And I was just really burnt out on traditional medicine, traditional healthcare. Just looking for a way to still help people, but maybe not deal so much directly with, the patients and doctors, who are a very challenging group of people to have to deal with on a daily basis. And I just really genuinely enjoy working with people, and this company and this industry seemed like a great fit for me personally and professionally.
Awesome. How about you, Nikita? What was your first job within the cannabis industry?
It was here at MCR over 2 years ago. I was burnt out in my other career that I was in, and I really just wanted to get out and find something new. And I've had past experience in office, settings and things like that. Previously, I was a teacher. So I honestly really had to leave it for myself, for my sanity. And then when I came across this company over building relationships and networking, I found that I really wanted to be part of it. I was offered the office manager position in the beginning and really worked my way up. And now I'm their HR manager. So it's really great to see how much career development the cannabis industry is giving everyone.
Oh yeah, I can definitely see that. I feel like there's so much room for growth, especially because it's so new, that we're all still kind of figuring out how to go through and how to develop within the cannabis industry. So that's awesome that you had an opportunity to kind of grow up quickly. How about you, Eve? How was this your first job in the cannabis industry?
No, so in September, I will hit my 10-year mark. I got started in media and content creation. Then I searched up a press release that said this guy in California was starting like a cannabis chemistry subdivision for the American Chemical Society. And I was like, I gotta volunteer for that. And then from my first degree is in hospitality, events, and sales. So I wanted to see how I could apply it. I started attending events, networking, and then I found everyone was like, "Ooh, I want to get into the cannabis thing," but I didn't know the chemistry language. So I went into a continuing education program in Rhode Island to study chemical technology, just like a personal a bucket list. I want to know this language just in case.
Yeah.
From then on, the cannabis chemistry subdivision still continues to grow on. We, developed the board. We have a lot of folks volunteering their knowledge, breaking down dissertation, research paper, and all that good stuff. In 2014, y'all may be familiar with the New England Cannabis Convention, NECAN, but I was working with Mark and Jeff just to develop the educational program there. And we went from one stage in a very, in the castle in Boston, Back Bay area, to now multiple stages, multiple program tracks, automated applications to suite, which is great. And then in 2015, I started my own brand, Hi Beautiful, where we focus on positive experiences with cannabis. So we've done everything from tourism in Jamaica and other, cannabis markets, to now in Connecticut, we'll be doing hemp farm tours with Wepa Farms. And then I decided, hey, I want to support people that look like me, that have innovation going on. And my sister, Chanel, has a company called REDDEN that you also may be familiar with. So I kind of support as an affiliate through my email list and brand, leveraging those networks. And now I'm at Pure Oasis. Excited to, contribute to the team. I've never sold weed before until, here we are selling weed. So it's really nice because I thought I would be excited to sell weed. And that's cool, but I'm mostly excited for the good that we can do in terms of getting people jobs that have traditionally been told that they don't qualify based on how they look or the record that they may have with the law because of, a cannabis crime or something else. But yeah, I'm excited to potentially develop my career in philanthropy, and Pure Oasis has been an awesome opportunity for that type of stuff.
Cool. That's so awesome. I can't believe you've been in the industry for over 10 years. That's wild. But I mean, it's great.
9. I'm still at 9.
9.
Until September.
No, we're almost there.
Yeah, but I feel like, Scott mentioned earlier, you see it and understand that the sky is the limit if you're willing to, show up, but also contribute solutions to some of the industry's most pressing problems.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. Well, yeah. Thank you for sharing. Scott, how about you?
That's a tough act to follow. Eve's in her 10 years and seeing that energy level. So I'm gonna certainly do my best. So Yeah, for me, it's coming up on a year. My background is I've been in sales and business development my whole career for about 25 years. Most recently, I had been working in the payroll HR industry. But I enjoyed it, but I was certainly looking at for more opportunity, more career opportunities for myself. And I just really started doing some research, started with CBD and talking to people in that field. And then, Eve mentioned NIKAN. So I just said, I just heard there was a NIKAN convention in Boston last spring. So, I put on, I think, probably a similar shirt, went down with my little portfolio. And I just wanted to learn. And I was expecting, quite frankly, I didn't know what to expect. I thought it would be just a bunch of stoners walking around. And it turned out it was amazing. 150 exhibitors, every professional, from accounting people, business people, growers, every types of industry that could be seen in to a T. Every single person, I think everybody who's been to a NIKAN event can say is so much passion about what they wanted to do, people they wanted to help, whether you are selling seeds or you were selling technology or you had a dispensary. And I said, this is where I want to be. I want to be in this field. How do I kind of leverage my background to get into this field? And fortunate, I happened to, it was just good luck, but I ran into the founder of the company of AdpativeHR and put my best introduction hat on, and we had some lengthy dialogues. And after several months, he invited me to come on and head up some of the Northeast business development. And then it turned out, obviously, I'm now here a year later. Our company has been acquired, and now we can talk to companies like your guys' companies all over the country. So that's my story, and I share that because I'm sure there's a number of people who are looking at it who say, geez, you know what, I don't know anything about cannabis. I've never been in the industry. I don't know anything about weed, or maybe I'm not even a user. And that's fine, because there's tons of people who are in your shoes. But you can take what you're good at and what you like to do and replicate it into the cannabis space. And so I guess that would be my takeaway if I'm watching this, for probably with all, everybody has a story, and you're probably just hearing a few of them.
Well, it sounds like everybody is generally very happy that they are in this industry and kind of found their home. So it's warming knowing everybody's super happy and excited to be here. Next question we will ask to, first we'll ask to NIKITA. What's one tip that you would give yourself before you started working in the industry?
I would say educate yourself, especially during this time. Due to the pandemic, more and more virtual events are going on. I would say take advantage to those, listen and learn about how the industry is growing. And also there's more and more schools popping up offering cannabis classes. There's Boston University, there's Roxbury Community College, there's Holyoke. So really, if you are able to, take advantage of those courses. Education is always a way to really get a foot in, to learn about this industry. It's so new. So I would say do that. I would have told myself to do a lot more research beforehand. It was definitely a learning curve starting working at MCR.
Mm-hmm. I feel like I'm learning new things every day. There's still terms where I'm like, what is that? I don't know what that is. So yeah, I definitely agree with education is so important. Eve, do you have anything to add to that?
Yeah, definitely echo what NIKITA said about education. Advocacy is a big thing as well. Just understanding like the climate of the industry that you're trying to participate in. Another thing I would say too, if we're speaking global or just national industry, go where it's at. There's a lot of folks that might be in a place where maybe it's not happening or the opportunities are not there. They're out there. You just have to go show up for them. I'd also say, I'd tell myself to just keep learning. Like at one point I was just like, well, this is the one thing I want to do. I want to do edibles. But I realized it's like, oh gosh, there's concentrates. Oh wow, there's hospitality too. Oh wow, there's HVAC. There's just so many things. So educating yourself and narrowing it down, educating yourself about the world of cannabis, absolutely, developing a respect for the plant itself, but having a focus and knowing what it is you want to do, because loving the plant alone spiritually, absolutely. But as it relates to our careers and stuff, you can go pitch an HR manager. They're like, well, what is she good at again? What does she want to do? So just having that focus of like, hey, these are the top 3 things I'm looking for, Because I used to be like, I love this, I love that, and I want to do all the weed things.
Yep.
Focus and education.
Yeah, for sure. Awesome. Next question. Give us a myth that most people think about the industry that is false. Scott, do you want to answer that one first?
Yeah, I mean, I think I said it earlier. My perception going into NIKAN is that I think a lot of people think people in the everybody, or not everybody, a lot of people in the cannabis industry are just stoners, laid back, working, that there's not a lot of work to do, or that just, there's that perception that everybody is just kind of, lackadaisical and just kind of moving slow and just chill. And that isn't at all. I mean, you're going to find some amazingly hardworking people. I mean, first of all, if you're in the cannabis industry, nothing's given to you. Obviously, NIKITA became an HR manager, but she wasn't handed that role. The same thing for any of the people on this call. And I think that's the same, is that the people who work in the industry work very hard. Whether you're a user or non-user, that's irrelevant. You need to be committed to the company and the job and the culture. So I think that's one myth that I can say in my experience working with growing companies that's not the case.
No, for sure. I think that's probably the biggest myth, is that everybody is a stoner and they're just not going to work. They're just going to get high or whatever. And I definitely agree that like going to a convention like that, you definitely see how many people are really like thriving and growing these businesses, and you have to be pretty smart to be able to do those things. So definitely.
It can be eye-opening for sure.
Yeah, absolutely. Because I mean, it's a business, it's a professional environment, and we definitely run into a lot of people that don't see that. Jessica, I'm going to propose this question to you.
I think I would say maybe people don't realize just how highly regulated the industry is on the back end of things. I think people just think that cannabis is really cool and easy and fun to work with. And it is obviously an exciting product in an industry, but knowing, the regulations and the why we need to do things without, necessarily being in an industry that has been regulated before, that can be really eye-opening for a lot of people.
Absolutely. Okay, next question. So we are in a very unique time. And in many states, COVID-19 led to the cannabis industry being deemed essential. How does that impact the industry going forward, and what has been the biggest learning experience for you? Eve, do you want to answer this one first?
Yeah, sure. So the biggest thing has been being able to adapt, but still ultimately serve our customers. So we're in the recreational market at Pure Oasis. So we were closed. We were not deemed essential until, the governor's orders were lifted up. Being able to learn different softwares, a lot of communication with our customers so they knew that we were open. We even evolved to have like ordering over the phone for some of our senior citizens that weren't necessarily using the new apps or the websites to pre-order and things of that nature. But also as it relates to our team and some of the safety precautions, making sure that everyone feels supported if they have to take a break, making sure that, we're routinely monitoring that everyone's wearing their mask, washing their hands, and just kind of practicing those safe distances between customers. I would say being flexible, but understanding like an emergency could pop up. How are we still going to serve our customers has been like the greatest thing, to make sure that safety of our team and safety of our customers is top priority.
Awesome. And how did the team do adapting to those new technologies?
It was pretty cool. We communicated on the back end, just letting people know that we were going to try doing pre-orders. Things didn't work out as smoothly with payment processing and stuff like that, but everyone was really just happy that we had those plexiglass separations and just some of those things that retailers all over the country now are adopting. Everyone's very cooperative. If anybody needs to take a break, we all communicate as a team and relieve the other. But a lot of teamwork, a lot of communication. If anyone's uncomfortable, everyone knows it's not going to be their job on the line if they have to take a break and get some fresh air and all that good stuff. So just making sure we have an environment where everyone's not walking on eggshells, but knowing we have to conduct ourselves with the utmost respect and safety our team and also for our guests.
Absolutely. I feel like it's so important to be able to relay that, especially to your employees, that you're there for them, and we have all these precautions in place. We do need to run business, but we're here for you, and if you need anything.
Yeah, and even just letting people know that if they needed to take a leave until they determined that it was safe for themselves and their household, because some people live with multiple, roommates or family. So some people had to take an extra time just to be sure that they wanted to come back. And it was very clear, nobody's going to lose their job or just be laid off if they're unable to come back within a certain time frame.
Mm-hmm. And has everything been the same at ACS for you, Jessica?
It's been mostly the same. We've always stressed, masks and gloves and, hygiene and all that stuff. It was more so for our production and cultivation and like extraction staff and the retail staff. So it's been kind of a change to get them on board with all the new regulations, but they've been really great about adapting to it. As I said previously, we just recently reopened our retail space to have patients come back in. Previously, they were stopping at our security booth to make their purchases that they had pre-ordered, but we've put up glass partitions in between the agents and the patient. We've put up stanchions to have people kind of filter in the lines and, floor decals, stand here, please, things like that. So it's been a learning curve, but it's been easier than I expected it to be, just because I think people have really bought into that mindset of keeping everybody as safe as possible. Our patients have had a little more of a problem with, the precautions than our employees have, but we're just trying to work through and make sure everybody stays, socially distant while still being able to get their product.
And I know that I don't want to take too much time, but do you have anything to add on, Nikita or Scott, in this specifically?
I think you and Jessica really kind of hit the nail on the hammer right there. Yeah, it's really just being adapting to the new situation we're in. To kind of talk about the HR side of it is just learning all the new legislation that kind of came along with it. The new FFCRA leave and all this stuff. So no company really has had to deal with a pandemic to this. So even though we're new, we're still, having those same kind of growing pains that other companies that have been here for, years.
And Scott, did you have anything to add?
Yeah, I would just echo what these guys said. The biggest thing is you need to be flexible, and also I think communication is really key. I think we're all talking to it is you need to communicate the changes as quickly and documented to the employees, so that is clear to them. And also, Eve was saying you want to be able to communicate to the customers as well, so the expectations are clear. So if you're able to deliver, again, it changes so quickly, so everybody in this call, it has to be, rapid fire. But I think effective and succinct and timely communication, that's the big one, is timely. I think those are the biggest things that we're all learning to do is critical for the customers and for internal.
Awesome. So let's move on to the second group of questions. This is going to be more candidate focused. Well, I'll ask this first question over to Nikita. Most people tell our team that they're passionate about the industry. I feel like I hear it over and over again. But what are some other traits that you look for when you're hiring new people onto your team?
Yeah, absolutely. So I've seen a lot of different kind of candidates come through our door. I mean, we have everything from transport agents to scientists. So a lot of different types of past experience. If I had to pick, I would say experience in a startup or even any type of fast-paced industry. We're constantly changing, and we need people who can be adaptable to what's going on. I know not everyone has experience in, a startup or in fast-paced industries. So candidates that have the drive, the work ethic, the willingness to learn and understand the cannabis industry is growing and there's challenges to overcome.
And are there any other traits that you look for, Jessica, when you're hiring new people to your team?
I'm really looking for candidates who are looking to be somewhere for the long term. I feel the turnover rate in cannabis is very high, especially for people who maybe aren't so familiar with the industry and what to expect when they finally do get in the doors. I always am looking for people who can buy into a team mentality, which is what we're really trying to foster here at ACS. So people who have kind of an my department versus that department type of attitude maybe aren't going to be 100% what we're looking for. So just people who are, looking to be somewhere for the long term and contribute to the operations that we have to sustain here. Not someone necessarily with a lot of cannabis knowledge. I feel like that can be taught to the right candidates, but just good team players with positive attitudes really do go a long way.
Yeah, I do a lot of interviews for the company, and I definitely run into a lot of people. I'm looking for the same traits that you definitely are, and yeah, there's definitely a lot of turnover. So I definitely know what you're talking about that. So next question, the industry continues to evolve, and we are seeing that there's a lot of areas that are maturing. If you were to try and get a job in the industry in 2020, what steps would you take, Scott?
That's a great question. So I gave some thought to this one, and a few different things is, I guess, first of all, there's two ways to look at it. One is to look inside, and the other is to look outside. So first, to look inside is really, if I'm thinking about it, what do I like to do? What makes me smile? What are some things that I'm passionate about? Forget about what is advertised. Start with yourself. Find the things that you like to do. It's a lot easier enjoying a job when it's something that you're already heading in the right direction. So I would say start with that. And also, not only what do you like to do, but also what are you good at? So if you can put those two together, those are two good things to think about. What do you like, and then what are you good at? And then the third thing I would say is then I would really use LinkedIn as a great tool just to get started, because once you get your profile out there, but then what you can do is see other organizations, reach out to people. People in this space are unbelievably willing to share and have conversations, do informational interviews. I mean, when you're trying to learn and you say, hey, do you have 10 or 15 minutes? I'd love to learn about, what you like being as a graphic designer. 9 out of 10 people will say, sure, reach out to me next Tuesday. And again, that may not lead directly to a job, but now you're going to learn about that. You have a few of those conversations, you're going to get connections, you're going to get experience. And then when you talk to one of these HR managers, again, I'm not, we're not hiring, but we deal with companies who are hiring all the time. I mean, I would think if you come prepared with, hey, this is what I'm good at, here's my skill set, I have this passion, and I've done this research, and here's who I've talked to, you're going to separate yourself dramatically from a lot of the other candidates. And are you going to land that job in the first one? Maybe, maybe not. Odds are probably not. But you'll learn a lot faster, and you'll get a lot more feedback, and the likelihood is, you'll get some good opportunities. So hope I wasn't too long-winded, but having seen a lot of people who are trying to get into this field, I get this question a lot. So, and I'm also, if anybody needs to reach out and wants to offline talk about any of the potential candidates, reach out to me on LinkedIn. I'm more than happy to have a conversation with you about the industry.
I love what you said about the in and the out. I feel like that's been ringing in my ears since you said that at the beginning of what you just said. That was awesome. Eve, how about you?
Yeah, I really loved what Scott said about looking in and out. Definitely agree with that. I would say in 2020, I would determine in what capacity you want to work. I think there's a lot of opportunities to work remotely nowadays. So understanding that you could apply your skills or talents in a way that is either in person on a day-to-day operation or remotely, again, like setting up processes and things of that nature. I would also do research on the different companies that are hiring and determining which culture I want to be a part of. Because ultimately we all have a brand name, and that's our first and last names. And even though it's great to just kind of jump right in and I got this entry-level opportunity, there's so many opportunities in, some folks are in already executive and management positions outside of the cannabis industry. How great if they would know, like if they have options, they did something like Scott mentioned, doing like information interviews, seeing if the company fits in with you. then, you know, just having options, I think, is the best thing in 2020 when you're going to look for a cannabis job, understanding like the value that you're bringing as that human resource coming in to apply your talents and skills, whether it's on a time or on a contract, just determining what fits your lifestyle, because the last thing you want is to have passion for cannabis or passion for economic justice, and then you get burned out because the expectations, you know, weren't clear to you in the beginning. You kind of just jumped into it. So just having clear expectations of what you're jumping into and making sure that the company is worth your while, because sometimes startups can get crazy, but if you can wake up every day, go to your work and remember why you're doing it, then, you know, things will be great and green for you.
Yep. I definitely know that the startup, you got to believe in it, and you got to believe in the people you work with and believe in the overall goal. So I'm definitely with you on that one. Next question. So what is the best thing for you about working in the industry, and what would maybe be the worst? I'm going to ask this to Jessica next.
So I'd say the best thing is probably just with ACS being, you know, a medically focused industry, is seeing the repeat patients or the regular patients that we have coming in that just really enjoy our product, and it really helps them, you know, get through their daily life with whatever various ailments they're experiencing. Hearing positive feedback from them is always nice. It reminds us, I think, why we do what we do, which is ultimately for us about the patients first and foremost. The worst thing is probably the stigma, I think, that we still all kind of face being in the cannabis industry. I know, especially when I leave here and, you know, it's inevitable that I smell like a certain type of product that we sell. The funny looks that you can get sometimes makes it hard to see that, you know, it is a legitimate thing that we're doing here. It's not just fun and, you know, a crazy day that we all have spending with thousands of marijuana plants in the building. So it's hard to convince people sometimes that it is a legitimate thing that we do.
Mm-hmm. And Nikita, how about you? What would you say is the best and worst part of the industry?
So there's not really very many opportunities where you get to see a new industry emerge and have the growth rate the cannabis industry is having. I would say that's really amazing to be actually part of and get to firsthand help people get jobs in the industry. And then also I would say we want to help the community. We're there. We have a diversity committee at MCR Labs. We really want to help communities that have been impacted on the war on drugs. So to be part of that is amazing. The worst part of the industry, I would say, would be regulation. Having to constantly be updated. There's updates to new and existing and new regulations and policies. It's understandable why it's so regulated, but it's also, you have to be on your toes.
Mm-hmm. Oh, you definitely do. You definitely have to keep up to date and make sure you don't looking at every email, everything that comes over to you. You can't just not pay attention. So I definitely get that. Anything to add, Scott or Eve?
Yeah, I'd say the best part is that hospitality component, at least working in a retail shop or at events, it's being able to see people be happy because of their relationship with the plant, whether they're growing it, they're consuming it, they're sharing it, spreading the good news, you know. That's definitely been a positive throughout the years. Specifically to Pure Oasis, it's my first time, like I mentioned earlier, working at a dispensary where we have an obligation by the law to give back to the community. So that has been an incredible opportunity, getting to know organizations. So we're not recreating the wheel, but being able to support organizations that are already serving the community where the greatest needs are, you know, being met. I would say the worst part is when when there's another one down, so to speak, when there are people that don't realize that this cannabis opportunity is something that we can really do great works for the community. So when people don't realize that and it's just a paycheck, it's like, oh man. But other than that, the people honestly are the greatest treasure. The people in the plant have been the greatest treasure here.
That's awesome. I didn't know that you had to give back. I didn't know is that a Massachusetts thing?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Yeah. We're required to have a positive impact And that all of this information is public. So anybody that has a license in the state of Massachusetts, you can see a write-up that was submitted to the Cannabis Control Commission. That's, part of where they'll kind of do a checks and balances of how we're contributing to the community, where we're operating, and all of that good stuff. But as it relates to the people and the treasures that I mentioned, some of the folks that are on our team, they've been rejected by other dispensaries, told that they don't qualify and all this stuff because of their legal background, records. But it's been great to see people, even through the pandemic. I kind of have my fingers crossed because we have this young man that just turned 21. His aunt referred us to him, and he still shows up, every day. And I'm like, yes, my prayer was answered, because if, we can't talk to the youth in this state about, or in the country about cannabis opportunity, but I'm always praying that, the youth will get off the street and take this as an opportunity to, one, work, but then become owners in the industry one day. So the people, man, it's the people.
Yes, that honestly, I don't know, something about that just gave me shivers. I don't know, something about just giving opportunities to people and that they can own, and that's awesome. So that's great.
Yeah.
Scott, how about you?
Yeah, I'm a glass half full guy, so I'll start the worst and then end on the best. So how about we kind of change it around a little bit? I would say from a worst is just some of the financial challenges for a lot of the business owners, because banking is really hard to come by. You can find it, but it is not inexpensive. And then also for companies, it's a huge hurdle just to get into the industry is the financial. And, you can't just go down to Bank of America and say, sure, I'm in the weed business and, can you give me $2 million? So it's very challenging for businesses to find the funding sources. So that is very hard, because obviously it presents more barriers than going into a normal non-cannabis businesses. But hopefully through things like safe banking and other opportunities, there'll be ways that cannabis business owners can have better access to those types of funding and lending. So ending on what's best about the industry, I would say it really is, it's the people who are in it. And because, to pretty much every business owner who I've talked to, whether in Massachusetts to California to, I've talked to business owners all over, especially here local in Massachusetts, is they love what they do. They're passionate about it. They believe in how the plant can help out people. They see it as medicine, and the people they want to bring onto their teams, they want to create cultures and hire people who have similar mindsets. So not only are they doing right by people, but they're creating really exciting businesses in the fastest growing industry in the country. So that is, to me, is super exciting, and why I love being part of it.
Awesome. And I guess this next question is for you, so I'll just continue on. So if we circle back to that evolution within the industry, what trends should prospective candidates be aware of as they explore a career in cannabis?
Sure. So I would say, obviously the overall trend is this. It's no matter where you look, it's going up over the next 4 years. But I would say one thing to think about is, in cannabis, it doesn't necessarily just mean plant touching. There's a huge amount of businesses in the cannabis world that go beyond plant touching. So just because you don't necessarily want to, work at a cultivation or a dispensary, that doesn't mean that you can't go into the cannabis business. There's tons of opportunities where people can ultimately be successful. Obviously, the plant touching, the ones that people think about, but if you look at also, there's other opportunities to consider when you're looking at a career in cannabis in the ancillary world to support those businesses. So just you can think of all different areas. Again, it comes back to what do I like to do, or what am I good at, and where is there opportunity. So hope that helps.
Awesome. And how about you, Eve?
I would say, as things are evolving, I would tell people to consider ownership. I would tell people to also consider ancillary opportunities. So maybe someone's not interested in a cannabis license per se. I know that those can be very costly, but there are some ancillary opportunities where people can apply their financial knowledge, their marketing, their branding, their design. And instead of working and becoming an agent of an establishment, they can just, negotiate a nice contract for, clear deliverables, terms and such. Something else I would encourage as we're evolving as an industry and people are exploring a career in cannabis is to remember that there are many derivatives and products coming from the plant. So we're talking about knowledge of vapes, edibles, topicals, and things of that nature. So I think that would set, a candidate apart is if they know, they have product knowledge, not just from their personal use and their love for it, but just understanding like what's trending in the state that they're trying to get involved in, or maybe in the region. That would be something that I would tell people to pay attention to as, the evolution of cannabis continues. But something that definitely sets a candidate apart, if we're talking, people getting a job, is knowing the regulations, like knowing them, setting yourself up a personal binder with tabs, because it may not be your department, but if you're someone that can say, hey, like, I noticed XYZ, people appreciate that, because now it behooves them to make sure that they know it. And it's just, again, that team environment, that willingness to offer your knowledge without being too snooty, but just, get those regulations, not memorized because they're changing, but just know, being able to be like, oh, that's in the marketing area, or that's in the prohibited activities of, whatever department you're in. That's what I would say.
Awesome. And just, I think for the next two questions, we're just going to do one person for each one, just because we're getting a little behind on time. So the next question I'm just going to ask to Nikita, and then the following question I'm going to ask to Jessica. So let's acknowledge there are outside perceptions when it comes to working in cannabis. What is the biggest surprise for people when they enter the industry? What would you say, Nikita?
So yes, there is that perception of, in the cannabis industry of being a fun place to work. Yes, this is true, but do not forget that it's still a job, and there's a lot of work that goes into it. A lot of people come in and they think they're just going to, have fun. It's just like, no, you have to buckle down and get the work done, because we're all here for that common goal to make sure that we keep on growing and that we remove that stigma, and we're leading with science. There's many eyes on us, and we are in a very extremely regulated industry. So there's a lot of pressure for us to stay compliant. We use that word a lot, compliance. You hear it a lot working in the cannabis industry.
Mm-hmm, for sure. So next question, at Easy Hire, we work with candidates with diverse backgrounds, and I have my thoughts here, but I'd love to hear from some insiders what kind of past experience makes a candidate successful in the industry? And I will ask this question to Jessica.
So as I said before, I'm not always necessarily looking for someone who has a ton of cannabis knowledge. Obviously, for certain positions, it's necessary to have a certain baseline level of cannabis knowledge, but that can definitely be taught. I'm looking more for somebody who really wants to buy into the system that we've put in place. Somebody who has, worn multiple hats where they've been before, so to speak. Someone who's not afraid to jump in trim and pack if they need help there, or if they need help there. I think people really can limit themselves to, this is my job description, so I'm not going to do X, Y, and Z, which isn't something that I find really serves anyone well. So just people with a willingness to grow and flourish with the company, people who are willing to take a chance on a startup, people who are willing to, work through the bumps and bruises that come with a new company, because let's face it, we're all new companies in the mass cannabis industry. So if somebody's really looking to get into the industry, it's something that, you do have to kind of take that leap of faith and say, okay, I'm ready to stick this out for the long run.
Yeah, absolutely. All right. So a little bit of a fun question. I've had some crazy hiring stories, but I wanted to hear it from you guys. Do you have any weird stories that you are allowed to share, or things that have been weird in interviews? Because I know it's a crazy, crazy world, but I just want to hear from any of you. Is there any crazy stories that come to mind while you were maybe doing an interview, or just while hiring in the cannabis industry?
Well, working at a lab, you definitely get some interesting phone calls we have. So I'll kind of tell you guys about that. So we are an analytical testing lab, but we, not recently, but definitely when I started, would get phone calls asking if we would hire them to test the cannabis, not knowing that we're testing them on a more scientific level and not in a consumption level. So
Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah, yikes. How about any of you other guys?
Maybe not crazy, but definitely a very frustrating situation. So we ended up hiring someone to work in cultivation. She went through the whole background check process, the whole registration process. I confirmed all of her first day details, and then she just never showed up or answered any of my emails or phone calls from her ever again. So that was really fun to have to deal with.
Oh, I don't get it. I don't get the ghosting thing. I don't
know. It's really weird. You chose us. You
Right?
chose us. So
What's your time? Why? Oh, that's so bad. How about you, Eve? Any crazy stories?
I'm kind of just giggling, remembering just some of the people that we've met. Because, you know, with all due respect, people don't know. People are just like, ooh, a weed store. What's the discount like?
Oh, yeah.
Of course, you know, like those are some of the perks. But, you know, people coming out for specific roles, but then just making sure that there's a discount, right? Like just making sure that they could get some of those perks. But again, you know, meeting people where they are, we want people to bring that excitement, but not many questions were asked about specific role. Let's say if it were logistics or front of the house, it was just, is there a discount? Just making sure they can get the goodies at a good rate for whatever reason, their personal reasons, whatever. But you know, a wide range of people coming in that believe in the plant, but don't necessarily have, you know, what we're looking for. I wouldn't call it crazy, but, you know, as Jessica probably knows, going through that HR process, you got to go just filter through all of them, you know?
Mm-hmm. Oh, you do. I look through, so we have a few different jobs that are entry-level positions, so everybody applies to them. And I know I have had some very interesting applicants that write little like bios. They're like, oh, why are you qualified? I had one person who said, it was one of my favorite ones. He said, like, I am qualified because I'm 6'7", so I will scare away anybody that comes in the store that has bad intentions. And I was like, oh, that's why you're qualified, because you're 6'7". Like, I don't know. Well,
also having people that are like, I love weed. I smoke it all day, every day. And it's like, that's awesome. You know, but we want to make sure that whether you're using it for medical purposes or not, we want to make sure that you can operate and function in a respectful manner. Because, you know, sometimes with those indicas, we can get really mellow. But just, you know, making sure that everybody knows we have the utmost respect for the consumption, the plant itself, the products, but, you know, we're here to do a job.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. All right, last question. So this is going to be my toughest question, but I want everybody to take out their magic 8-ball, and let's say it's time for predictions. We've found a lot of the strongest candidates that are looking towards the future, but with that in mind, what would be a simple question of where you see the industry in 12 months' time? I'll give this one to Jessica.
Oh.
What do you mean? What's a simple question?
Maybe John can expand on this. John, what do you?
You know, this is a little tongue-in-cheek, right? This industry moves so rapidly, and I'm not sure we can answer what's going to be like in a week, but would really love insight on, if you had to guess, with cannabis being deemed essential in some states, both for recreational and medical. Obviously, good example in Washington State, we don't have recreation, or we don't have medical, we only have recreational. And then obviously in Massachusetts, things have evolved rapidly. Where do you think we'll be in a year? What do you think this looks like both legislatively in your immediate area and maybe on a national level? What changes would you expect?
I would really like to see more, maybe not advertising is the right word to use, opportunities, but, you know, being able to market ourselves to the community as a whole. Obviously not to, you know, 5-year-old children and things like that, but just to be able to get our name out there more, to be able to have people know who we are and what we do, because I don't know about everywhere, but the buildings in Massachusetts are pretty nondescript and can't really, you know, show what we do from the outside looking in. So people kind of just drive by us. If you're not really looking for us, you don't kind of know that we're here. So I'd like to be able to see more more outreach and more marketing opportunities in general, and then just, you know, growth and legitimization of what we do here. And, you know, people realizing that it is a medicine to people who need it, and to be able to get it to them is something that we obviously want to continue to do. We're expanding our retail space. We just purchased a second dispensary location. So personally for us, it's going to be, you know, a bit of a crazy end of the year trying to get that up and running while still maintaining operations here in Bridgewater as well. So just, you know, growing and learning and changing, evolving, just making sure we can keep up and stay competitive and, you know, be in a better place than we are, hopefully. So.
Definitely. Anybody have anything else they want to add? I know that we're getting a little late on time.
I'll add a couple things if I could. One, I just think nationally, you're just seeing more and more wider acceptance. You know, it's you know, it's brick by brick, it's state by state. Obviously, we have 50 states. We're not clear to that. We have 11 now, but you have 3 states that are on the ballot. You know, you have New Jersey, you have Montana, Arizona looks like it's going to be there. So those are all, so everybody's kind of keeping their eyes on that. And then if New Jersey passes, then regionally you have, you know, New York and Connecticut and Pennsylvania. So those will be some interesting things to keep our eye on. I think the other thing will be really interesting is the banking. You know, there's some proposed legislation with the Safe Banking Act, and if banking becomes easier, again, we'll see what happens with the presidential election. But if banking becomes easier, I think that encourages, again, more investment, an easier investment in all the businesses and the small companies. So I think that would be a very positive thing. So I would really like to see that. And then the third thing I would just say, here locally in Massachusetts, you know, if you go to the CCC website, there's hundreds of businesses in the queue that are in the licensing process. So if you're in Massachusetts and you're thinking about, hey, how do I get into the industry? Think about all those companies are all going to be in hiring mode in the next year. They're all going to be growing. They're all going to have need for great people. They're going to have need for the skill sets. So that, to me, is very exciting for the state of Massachusetts. If you're thinking about this industry, it's absolutely not flat. It's only going up, and they only need people who you know, want to work and are enthusiastic. So I look at this. There's a lot of certainly a lot of challenges, but I think huge amounts of opportunities. So I think for all of us, it's exciting.
Yeah,
I'd say in 12 months time and beyond, we'll see more businesses owned by women and people of color. I'm hopeful to see social equity programs that are getting more people from, you know, areas that have been disproportionately harmed in the pipeline to get their license and not just like waiting in a queue for too long. I'm hopeful to, you know, like Jessica mentioned, to see more promotional opportunities for us to get ourselves out there without so much red tape, because we don't want to talk to the children. We want to talk to their adult 21 plus parents. I'm also hopeful that there will be more widespread consumption among adults, because I think we have not a long way to go, but we have some more advocacy to do so that people understand that not all medical patients are registered in a medical program, but they still have the right to have access. So there's times where I will purposely use adult use instead of recreational, so that if I'm speaking to my elders and my family, they know that I'm talking about something that adults do, and it's not just for fun, but it's adults do this, whether it's for fun or for therapy. So I'm hopeful for more widespread consumption, but those are my top 3.
and I guess, Nikita, we'll have you end on this last
Happy
one.
420!
Yeah, I really agree with everything everyone said with that. As the industry grows, more ancillary businesses popping up would be great to see. When the medical program was first implemented in Massachusetts, testing labs wasn't a thing. So to see, you know, in the next year, other things that they're going to realize we need is going to be amazing.
Yeah, definitely. Awesome. Well, I think that's all the questions that we
We're
have.
spending 420 together, y'all.
Unfortunately, not for me, because I'm all the way out on the other coast. But
Well, you're here in
120 then.
in this moment.
yes, this is
To
true.
get myself at home.
So I got to give a big thank you. You guys, sometimes when you do these things, it's hard in the moment to know how you're doing. You guys are fantastic. As the person who got to sit here and watch, just by the way, Juliana, let's just give her a big
Thank you.
as the person who got to sit here because she's awesome and just listen. You guys are fantastic. I learned more today in an hour and a half than months. I mean, just the passion, the energy, the expert, fantastic. Thank you. That's all I can really say there.
Thank you.
Thank you, guys.
Thanks, guys.
Perfect. Thanks, guys.
Thanks so much.
Taking a screenshot. Like, watch a few screenshots.
Was I gonna take them?
Here I go. Ready? 1, 2, 3. Wee.
Did you say we?
You have to like take one of the other like things from Scott in there and I'll like place it.
Yeah. We'll Photoshop them in.
So everyone has a blessed day. This was great. Thank you for
You too. Thank you. Thanks, guys.
so much,
Fun.
guys.
Thank you for having
Thank
us.
you.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.
All right. We want to give a big thank you to our panel today, Nikita, Eve, Jessica, and Scott. What a phenomenal job. On screen right now, we have some quick, easy ways to reach the respective businesses as well as their social handles on Instagram and Twitter. We would strongly encourage you to take a look, learn about these brands. As you can see, these are experts in their respective areas, are gracious enough to give their time and share some insights on both the hiring process and the industry as a whole. So thank you once again, Nikita, Eve, Jessica, and Scott. And lastly, thank you for attending. If you are interested in learning more about how to start a career in cannabis, visit Easy Hire Cannabis right now and learn how to get started.